Forgotten love. I am an old man now. My hair has turned white, and my hands have grown weak. Each day, I sit by the window and watch the trees outside, their leaves dancing softly in the wind. As I watch them, memories return like waves. Some bring a smile, others bring tears. I once had a wife. Her name was Sarah. She was kind and beautiful, with a warm smile that lit up even the darkest days. Together, we raised 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. I worked hard, every single day, to give them the life I never had. Sarah took care of the house, cooked delicious meals, and helped the children with their homework. Our home was full of laughter, full of love. The years went by, and our children grew. They went to school, made friends, and gradually spent less time with us. I knew they needed to find their own way in the world, but it still made my heart ache. Sarah would always reassure me, saying, "They'll come back. They love us." I believed her, but one day she became ill. She stayed in bed for weeks, growing weaker with time. I took care of her, cooked her favorite meals, and sat by her side. I told her stories to make her laugh, but she was too tired to smile. One day, she looked at me and said softly, "Take care of the children. They need you." Then one night, she closed her eyes and never opened them again. My heart shattered. The house, once alive with warmth, became silent and cold. I hoped my children would stay, would help fill that silence, but they were busy with their lives. They visited less and less. Eventually, they told me I could no longer live alone. They said I should move into a home for the elderly. I wanted to say no, but I saw no other choice. With a heavy heart, I nodded and went with them. Now I sit here, alone. The days stretch on endlessly, and the nights feel colder than ever. I think about Sarah and the life we shared. I wonder if I failed as a father. Did I do something wrong? There are no answers, only silence. This place is called the Golden Years Home. It's clean and quiet. Other elderly residents sit silently in their chairs, lost in thought. Some speak to me, but most of the time I sit alone. The nurses are kind but busy. They bring me meals, give me medicine, and occasionally offer a smile. Each morning, I wake early and watch the sunrise. The sky turns gold and pink, and for a moment, I feel peace. But then the emptiness returns. I think of my children. Where are they? Are they happy? Do they think of me? I remember carrying them on my shoulders, playing in the park, teaching them to ride their bikes. My hands were tired then, but my heart was full. They were my pride, my joy, my everything. Now they are far away. Sometimes they call. "How are you, Dad?" they ask. But before I can answer, they're already saying, "We're busy. Take care." I understand. Life is hard, and they have families of their own. Still, I wish they would visit more. One day, a nurse gave me a notebook and said, "Write your memories. It might help." At first, I didn't know where to begin. My hands trembled holding the pen, but soon the words began to flow. I wrote about Sarah, her voice, her laughter. I wrote about my children, their first steps, their smiles, their little hands in mine. The notebook became my friend. Each night, I wrote before bed. It felt like I was speaking to someone, sharing my pain and love. I hoped my children would one day read it and understand how deeply I loved them. But sometimes I wonder if they'll ever read it, if they even care. Maybe they've forgotten me, just as they've forgotten to visit. The thought weighs heavy on my heart, but still, I keep writing. It's the only thing I can do. Life in the home follows a strict routine. Breakfast at 8, lunch at noon, dinner at 6. Between meals, I sit by the window or wander the small garden where roses, daisies, and tulips bloom. I watch the birds fly freely, singing to the sky, and wonder if they feel joy or loneliness, like me. One afternoon, a young boy came to visit. He was the son of a nurse. "Hi, Grandpa," he said, smiling at me. His smile reminded me of my youngest son when he was little. He sat beside me and asked, "Do you have any stories?" I nodded and began telling him about my childhood, the village where I grew up, the green fields, the tall trees, the river where we swam. I told him about my best friend, John, and how we climbed trees and played hide and seek. His eyes lit up with excitement. For a moment, I felt alive again. When he left, I was filled with both joy and sorrow. I was happy for the connection, but it reminded me of the family I missed. Did my grandchildren even know about me? Did they know how much I longed to hold them and share stories? One evening, I asked the nurse if I could call my eldest son. My hands trembled as I dialed. He answered. "Hello, Dad," he said. I told him I missed him. He replied, "I'll try to visit soon," but his voice sounded empty, like a promise he didn't mean. That night, I couldn't sleep. I thought of Sarah. She always knew how to bring our family together. Without her, everything had fallen apart. I whispered into the darkness, "Sarah, if you can hear me, please tell our children to come. I'm still here, waiting." Tears rolled down my cheeks. The pain was overwhelming, but I kept hoping. Each day I waited by the window, hoping to see a familiar car. Every engine I heard made my heart race, but it was always someone else. My hope grew smaller, but it never died. One day I decided to write letters to my children. I took out an old notebook and began. I wrote to my eldest son first, telling him about the quiet life I led here and the memories that kept me company. I reminded him how I had held his hand when he learned to walk. Then I wrote to my daughter. I described her childhood smile, the songs she sang in the kitchen, how proud I was when she graduated. "You are my sunshine," I wrote, just as I used to call her. Finally, I wrote to my youngest son. I reminded him of our fishing trips, how he laughed when he caught his first fish, how his jokes once filled our home with joy. I folded the letters and gave them to the nurse to send. She smiled and promised to mail them right away. The next morning, I went to the garden and imagined them reading my words. I pictured them deciding to visit. But days passed, then weeks, and still nothing. No calls, no letters. I told myself to be patient. Maybe the letters would stir something in them. Then the young boy returned. He brought me a drawing, a picture of me smiling under a tree. "This is for you," he said. I thanked him, tears in my eyes. His simple gesture reminded me that even in the darkest times, kindness still existed. One morning, the nurse came into my room holding a letter. "You have mail, Mr. Carter," she said. My heart raced. The handwriting was familiar. It was from my eldest son. He apologized for the silence, said he'd been busy and promised to visit with his children, my grandchildren. I read the letter over and over. I showed it to the nurse and she smiled, saying, "See? They care." Her words gave me hope, though doubt still lingered. Days passed, weeks passed. I waited by the window every day, hoping. Eventually, I wrote again, this time to my daughter. I told her how much her brother's letter had meant to me and how I missed our conversations. I sent the letter and waited once more. During that time, the boy continued to visit me. He brought me stories and more drawings. One day, he drew a picture of a family standing together under a tree. "This is your family," he said. I placed the picture next to my son's letter, a small collection of treasures. Then, one bright morning, I heard unfamiliar footsteps in the hallway. My heart beat faster. The door opened, and there he was, my eldest son, standing with two little children holding his hands. I was speechless. He stepped forward and said, "Daddy, I'm here." He hugged me for the first time in years. "These are Emma and Liam," he said, introducing my grandchildren. They handed me drawings, one of a house with a garden, the other of an old man smiling. "This is you, Grandpa," Liam said proudly. We talked for hours. He told me about his life, his struggles, and how much he missed the old days. I listened, soaking in every moment. Before they left, he promised to visit again. "This time I mean it," he said. A few days later, my daughter came too. She had read my letter, she hugged me, and told me about her life. She promised to visit more often. For the first time in years, I felt surrounded by love again. My children had begun to understand. They no longer saw me as a burden, but as a father who had given them everything. Their visits became more frequent. The young boy still came too, sharing joy and laughter. One day, he looked at me and said, "You look happier now, Mr. Carter." I smiled and replied, "Yes, I am." In time, I realized that life isn't about how much you give, but about the moments you share with those you love. Though I still miss Sarah deeply, I know she'd be proud. Her love gave me strength to keep going. And now, as I sit in the garden with my children and grandchildren around me, I finally feel at peace. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Before we go, let me leave you with this. Learning English isn't just about memorizing words or grammar rules. It's about connecting with people, just like Sarah did on her trip. So keep practicing, stay curious, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. See you in the next video.